to get divorced. Obviously, only if it's the appropriate situation. If the marriage works, then it's not a mitzvah to get divorced. It's a mitzvah to try and stay married if you can. But when the marriage is not working, sometimes then it's the best thing for everybody. And then you get divorced. But then it's a mitzvah to get divorced in the right way, to separate the marriage.
You can't do Kobe's bar mitzvah portion?
Baruch Hashem, Kobe. Baruch Hashem, proud of you. Do you remember it? No, we don't want to put him on the spot. Anyway, so now we have the mitzvah. We have something, the concept called machzir grushaso. That's what the Torah is going to talk about. Do you know what machzir grushaso is? I'll explain it outside, and then we'll read the pasuk. Then we'll read them inside. What's machzir grushaso? So it's a very, here, let's say I'm going to put you on the spot. Who wants to be put on the spot? Raise your hand if you want to be put on the spot. Okay. Oh, we'll put Mr. Janice on the spot. Let's say, not you. Let's say Reuven is married to Rivka, and then they get divorced. Is Reuven allowed to remarry her?
Yeah.
He's allowed to remarry her. Okay. Let's say Reuven is married to Rivka, he gets divorced. Then Reuven marries, after he divorces Rivka, he marries Sarah. And now he divorces Sarah, or Sarah dies. Can he remarry Rivka again?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Wrong. He can. So Reuven, even though he married somebody else after he married Rivka, and now he wants to marry Rivka again, he's allowed to. But this is why you were getting a little confused, Eitan. Let's say Reuven marries Rivka. He divorces her. Then she goes ahead and she marries Shimon. Then Shimon dies or Shimon divorces her. Is Reuven allowed to marry Rivka again? No. That's what the Torah says here. That's called, he's not allowed to be machzir grusha, so if she married somebody in between. But if she didn't marry somebody in between, then she could go back and marry him. So that's the concept of machzir grusha. So basically, we're now up to Parach Haftal Pasuk Beis, V'yatzami Beisov V'alchala Ish Acher. So basically divorced her, and she went out and she married another man. Rashi says, Ein ze ben zugo shel Rishon. This man is not the same as the first man. Who would see Rishon mitoch beiso? He removed a wicked woman from his house. V'zech niso. Well, this one brought her in. She brought her into his house, and meaning to say that there was something wrong with her, meaning to say she had committed, let's say, adultery or done something wrong, and this guy married her. So we don't like this guy, says Rashi. Why are you marrying this woman who's wicked? But now he says, the second man decides he doesn't like her anymore because of, let's say, for krisus. He writes her a bill of divorce. He sticks it in her hands, and he sends her away. Or the second man dies. So this second man who took her for his wife, he dies. Rashi says, the Torah is telling us that in the end, he is going to, if he marries her and he shouldn't have married her, then in the end he's going to hate her. But if he doesn't hate her, kovarto, she'll bury him. She's going to outlive him. Meaning if he likes him, if he wants to keep her as his wife, she's going to outlive him. That's a bracha. As it says, O Yamus. Okay. So either way, if you marry the wrong person, that's what's going to happen. And now we come to the halacha that we just discussed outside. Well, yuchal ba'ala rishon asher shachal ashuv v'kachta liot lo isha achrei asher hutama ki to'avahi lefnei Hashem u'tachti et ha'aretz asher Hashem lokach nosein nachala. Then the second man, the first man, is not allowed to remarry her since he sent her away, and she took another person as her. And another person took her as his wife, and so therefore she has been, the word is defiled. Rashi says, Ki to'eva, what the pasuk says, because she's an abomination. It's an abomination to do this, to take back your wife after she married somebody else, and this will cause the land to become impure, in which God gave you as inheritance. Rashi says, Achrei asher hutama, a rabo sota shenistera. This includes a sota who secluded herself with another man. Such a person, he's not allowed to remain married to her. Okay, now we go up to we're going to talk about who's exempt from military service. Who's exempt from military service? Significantly, these are not referring to, Rashi is going to tell us, these are not referring, Jeff, would you like pizza? There's pizza there. you're on my diet, the above 49 years old diet, where we stay away from pizza. So Moshe, have some pizza. Ezra, there's some pizza over there. Help yourselves, my friends. Yeah. Baruch Hashem. Because it's Tuesday. Some people celebrate tacos on Tuesday. We have pizza on Tuesdays once in a while, not every week. So now we come to the next passage. So these halachos about who's exempt, this is referring to an optional war, a discretionary war. If it would be an obligatory war, everybody has to go. Even a chatan from his chupaso, even a chasan, even a groom would have to go. And in fact, we see this. We see this in Israel right now. There are grooms, they get married, and brides, and they're serving in the IDF right now, and they give them 10 days off, and then they're back in the battle. That's all they get, 10 days off, and then they send them right back to the front lines. And they can't afford to give everybody off with the war, because all the soldiers, a lot of the soldiers are marriageable age, and so therefore, since they're all marriageable age, you can't give everybody off. Once they get married, there'll be nobody to serve. So everybody gets married, they get 10 days off, and then they have to go back and serve. But this is talking about a discretionary war. What's an obligatory war? Obligatory war is a war in which you're attacked. Or a war to conquer the land of Israel. So it says the pasuk, Ki yikach ish isha chadasha. If a man will marry a new wife, lo yetzei batzava. You're not allowed to go out. He doesn't go out into the army. Nor shall it obligate him for any matter. He should be free for his house for 1 year. He has to make his wife that he married happy. So let's first look at the Rashi, then we'll talk about this mitzvah of being. You have the place, Jeff? It's chapter 24, verse 5. It is the mitzvah of making your wife happy the first year. This is a mitzvah, the first year of marriage. Remember this, Eitan, are you dating for tachos already? Not yet.
The first year.
What? No, the first year there's a special Indian of going like not traveling, just being home to keep your wife especially happy. So that's the concept of the first year. And then Rashi says, when you take a new wife, it doesn't mean she's never been married, new to him, even if she's a widow, but these laws don't apply if he takes back a woman he's divorced. Then she's not his new wife, she was already married to her, he's just taking back a woman who's divorced. Rashi says, davar for anything which is required by the army. He doesn't do he doesn't even work on the home front, or fix roads. But then there's a different category of people who get sent back from the front. Who are those people? Those are people who are, for example, they're afraid to go into battle. They are allowed to leave. So they go back. After the Kohen warns them, or could go and bana bayis v'lo chanacha. We built the house and he didn't dedicate it yet. Oh, a racy shavu kacha, or he betrothed the woman, he hasn't married her yet. Those people must speak in mayim u'mazon u'misachnin esadrachim. Those people supply water and food. They work on the home front. They fix the roads. But the one who married a new woman, then that person doesn't even work on the home front. He's just supposed to be home all day. And 1 year he should be for his house. Af b'shvil beiso. In bana bayis v'chanacho v'mnat akarim v'chilo eino zaz mi beiso b'shvil tzarchem nochima. Also for his house, if he built a house and inaugurated it, or he planted a vineyard and used it, he doesn't leave his house for the war. Leveso zebeso yeh l'rabos es karmel. What does he have to do? He should stay home for a year and make his wife happy. Rashi says, Yisamachas ishto. He shall gladden his wife. V'targumo, yachti yat itesai. He shall gladden his wife. Okay. Says the verse, Lo yachbo, next verse, Lo yachbo, right? This is kind of random. Like, what does that have to do with the previous verse? We're just going into random laws now. Or yachbo rechayim v'rechav ki nefesh u'chovel. if let's say somebody owes you money, let's say that you lent them money and you're coming to collect a pledge because they don't have the money to pay, you should not take a mill or a grindstone as a pledge because you're taking a life as a pledge. What does this mean? Do you understand what this pasuk is telling you, Eitan?
Like a little bit because I cheated before, but
It's not cheating. How's it cheating?
because I looked at what it's saying.
That's not cheating.
Okay,
That's
fine.
called studying.
Oh, so it's saying that you shouldn't take someone's like way they make food because it's like taking their whole livelihood, you know? It's like
Right,
taking away their
exactly.
family.
It's exactly right. So if a person, Rashi says in Ba, and we had this in Ba Metzia, we did this in the Daf Yomi around 3 months ago. If you're coming to take a pledge in Ba Lamashkano, if you're coming to take a pledge for the debt for a debt, then Lo Yimashkanenu B'dvarim she'osim b'nechel nefesh. You're not allowed to take as a debt those things which you use to prepare food. And Rechaim is there are two parts of the millstone. The Rechaim and the Rechav are the two parts. You're not allowed to take something that's used for food items as a pledge. That's considered to be a problem. Okay, Rashi, the next pasuk says, Ki matzei ish gonev nefesh me'achav. If a person is found kidnapping somebody from the Bnei Yisrael, this Amarbo, and he enslaves him, Umacharo, and sells him, Umeisa ganafahu, then that person must die. Kiviyarta ra bikir becha. Because you have to get rid of the evil from your midst. So Rashi says this is through witnesses and a warning. This Amarbo, and he enslaves him. Eino chayev achi yishtamas, but he's liable once he uses him. It's kind of random, like what's the connection between all these laws? It's just like, it's almost like it's a separate code. It doesn't tell us what the relationship is between all these laws.
Human trafficking can be a result of somebody taking your livelihood. You know,
Okay.
after
And of getting divorced.
Yeah, I'm saying after these families fall into such a dire strait that they need to support themselves through illegal activities. There will be those who take advantage of them, and that's forbidden.
Baruch Hashem, that's a good explanation. And that, but then, yeah, Mordechai.
This page has a picture of millstone, two millstones, an upper millstone and a lower millstone, and
Yeah.
a vertical piece. I guess the people use that to manually rotate to.
Yeah, that was the millstone. I don't know exactly how it worked, but they put something. They put the grain in there and they ground it up. They took the berries and they just ground it up. We had a millstone when I was Rabbi Avoa. We had a grinder. We used to grind the chametz ourselves, not the chametz, the matzah. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but if you take possession of the store, like you put a separate new lock, that's also a way of taking possession, no? You don't have to actually carry it to your backyard or something.
Yeah, I guess so. We have to look back at the sugya and see exactly. But yeah, if you take something,
that's what Michael is asking, right? Like it's pretty.
No, I think Mordechai was just asking how does it work?
I'm saying it's pretty hard to take a millstone.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's a fair point. No, you could just take one of the stones. You could take one of the pieces to prevent it from working. That was the point. Okay, so then Hishamar b'negar tsaras, l'shmor mod lasot. Be careful about tsaras. Be careful to act. So again, this is so random. Like, what's the connection? Be careful with tsaras. What does it mean with the tsaras? This is the prohibition of cutting away your signs of impurity. Now, what about, let's say, I'm going to ask you guys a question from the Gemara. Let's say you have to get a bris and you haven't got a bris yet, and there's a tsaras on your bris. Are you allowed to cut away the tsaras to give yourself a bris, but you're not allowed to cut it? That's the question in the Gemara. That's the question in the Gemara. What are you guys laughing? The Gemara asked that question. What do you think the answer is? What? You got, why don't you ask who's the Rebbe in the koel? Who teaches you in the koel?
Rav Yonah.
Yeah, say, okay, now I gotta cut away the saras. What if it's on a bris?
I'll ask him.
Yeah, it's gonna stump the class. It'll be for a whole 20 minutes, it'll be a big tumult. Oh, 8 times asking a good question, it'll be a big tumult. You could also ask it in, you ask your professor in the MC, Kobe. Okay. And now the next pasuk again, like what's the connection? This is one of the sheish zechiros, one of the 6 things that you're obligated to remember. Remember that which Miriam did in the journey when you left Egypt. What did Miriam do? What did Miriam do? What did Miriam do? Remember? Anybody remember, Elon? What did she do?
She spoke badly about Moses.
She spoke badly about Moses, but what's the connection here? So here, this is why Rashi says the connection is in Batal Izar Shaloti Lake B'Tsaris. If you want to be careful that you don't get tsaras, al Tisaper Lashon Hara. Don't speak Lashon Hara. Zachar also a Miriam. Remember what was done to Miriam? She dibra ba'achia. She spoke against her brother, V'lokta ben Yigayim, and she was stricken with tsaras. So that's what we see from here is the commandment. There are 6 things that you have to remember. And one of the 6 things to remember is to not speak Lashon Hara. Remember what happened to Miriam. So now we come to the next one. This is also about not taking a pledge. When you hold a debt against your friend, then such a person, if you're coming to collect a pledge from him, what security? You're not allowed to go into his house to collect a security. What does that mean? What does that mean that you can't go into his house to collect a security? It means, so what's a security? You know what a security is, Kobe?
I don't.
Okay. Do you know, Elon, what's a security? Okay, so it's the same thing, similar to what we discussed before. Do you know what it is, Eitan? Moshe, do you know what it is?
It's like the same thing as collateral.
Yeah, basically the guy owes you $1,000, he's not paying. So you say, well, how am I going to make sure that you pay me? So I'm going to take security. I'm going to take your belt as a security. So you go into his house, and but you're not allowed to go into his house to get the belt. You have to stand outside in the chutzpah mode. When you hold a debt against your friend, any amount, you're not, but you have to stand outside. And the man whom you're making a claim against, you're saying you owe me money. So he has to take the belt to you. He has to take out the belt to you. Why is that? Why does he have to take it out to you? What's the logic here? It's to give him his dignity, give him his respect, give him his dignity. So therefore, you have to wait for him to bring it out to you. Vim aniyu, and if he's poor, so you're not allowed to go into his house to demand the pledge. You're not allowed to go into his house and grab the pledge out. And if he's ish aniyu, if he's a poor man, you're not allowed to sleep with his security. Meaning to say, you have to return to him before he goes to sleep. You have to return it to him before you go to sleep. So if you take a pledge that he uses to sleep with at night, you return it to him at night. And then when the sun sets, return the belt. And then he'll lie down to sleep with his garment. And he'll bless you. And this will be for you considered an act of tzedakah or righteousness before Hashem. Rashi tells us what this means. First of all, Rashi says, Kivo Hashemesh. If it is a night garment, you return it at night. If it's a day garment, you return in the morning. And he'll bless you. And if he doesn't bless you, don't worry about it. Nevertheless, it'll be righteous. It'll be considered by God that you did an act of righteousness. So basically, even if he doesn't bless you, you'll have done an act of tzedakah. This is the idea of the person owes you money, but you have to treat him with absolute dignity.
In preparation for Rosh Hashanah, that's a great promise. That Hashem tells us that this will be an act of charity regardless.
God, this will be righteous. Right, now we have the next pasuk, Lo tashok sachir ani v'avyon. You're not allowed to cheat. You're not allowed to cheat a person amongst your brothers who you owe money to. Whether he's Jewish or he's just a resident amongst you, you're not allowed to cheat him. What does this mean? So it says, Rashi says, but doesn't it already say, didn't it say this in Leviticus? So this tells us that somebody who transgresses it is in violation of two commandments. So just because this prohibition to cheat a person applies whether he's rich or whether he's poor. Avion, what's destitute? Somebody longs for everything because he has nothing. From amongst you, this refers to a convert in your cities, Bisharecha, or in your land. Bisharecha, this refers to the resident alien who eats non-kosher food because he's not Jewish. They're also not allowed to deprive him of you have to pay the rental fee for their animals. This is the obligation. If a person works for you, you have to pay him on the same day. Now, that's only, we learned this in the Gemara, Jeff, maybe remember, that's only if that was supposed to be paid that day. But there are certain people where the expectation is they're paid on Friday. There's certain people the expectation is they're paid after 12 hours. You have to pay the person in the expectation of the place where you're living. What's the expectation or the agreement that you made? But you can't delay the wages. If you owe the person money and you were supposed to have paid him and you don't pay him, you're in violation of a biblical prohibition. You're not allowed to delay paying a person. When you have to pay him, and you have to pay the man or the woman. The Yom Titain Secharo, pay the person on that day. Don't let the sun set. Ki anihu, he's poor. They love who no says nafsho. He risks his life. Hashem, and we don't want him to call out to God about you. And then you'll have a sin. Rashi says he risks his life to get this payment. He risks his life to do this dangerous job. He climbs up the ramp, he climbs up the tree. You think he wants to do this job? He climbs up on the roof. We see a lot of people walking on the roofs, working on the houses. Pay the man on time. And if you do this, you'll have a sin. But if God is going to punish quickly for you if the victim calls out here. Now we come to the next verse, which tells us, we have to stop here. I'll pick this up tomorrow. A beautiful pasuk that fathers should not be put to death because of sons, and sons for the deaths of their fathers. Everyone is responsible for their own sin. That's tomorrow. I'll stop here. A beautiful pasuk.